Tributes have poured in from across the world following the death of Argentinian football giant Diego Armando Maradona at the age of 60. This Tuesday saw another contingent of Cuban doctors arrive in Venezuela to join the team of professionals already working to control and prevent the spread of COVID-19. Health ministers drawn from the sub-Saharan African region urged enhancing vigilance to curb transmission of COVID-19 that has been on the upsurge in the continent. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Gladys Quesada. As the world, and especially Argentinians, react to the sad news of the death of the football legend Diego Armando Maradona at the age of 60, it was announced that he will be given a state funeral. As well as declaring 3 days of mourning, Argentina's President Alberto Fernández announced that the Casa Rosada, the official residency of the presidents, was to be made available for the family of Maradona so that the wake and state funeral can be organized. 7 former presidents of Argentina have received a state funeral at the Casa Rosada, most recently Néstor Kirchner in 2010. From the world of sport, 5 times Formula One champion Juan Manuel Fangio was given a state funeral in 1995. Additionally, the Argentine Professional Football League announced that the current First Division tournament will change its name to honor Maradona. In a statement, the league said, to remember the unforgettable captain of the Argentine national team, the Copa de la Liga Professional will be renamed to Copa Diego Armando Maradona. And crowds gathered to pay tribute to Maradona near his childhood home in Villa Florito, in the southern outskirts of Buenos Aires. Maradona grew up in poverty in Buenos Aires, but his extraordinary talent was clear from a young age at Argentinos Juniors and Boca Juniors. Maradona made his professional debut for Argentinos Juniors on October 20, 1976, 10 days before his 16th birthday. He entered the pitch wearing the number 16 jersey and became the youngest player in history of the Argentine First Division. And Brazil's former president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has also commented on the death of football legend Diego Armando Maradona.
I want to express my condolences and solidarity to the family of Diego Maradona and the Argentine people. I heard about the death of Diego Maradona, and I want to say that the people who enjoy football, that we have not just lost the great player that Maradona was, one of the best that football has ever created. Maradona, as well as being a great footballer, a great player, Maradona was a great politician. Maradona spoke of politics, of sovereignty, of Latin America, in defense of the poor, in defense of life.
As people across the globe continue to react to the news of the death of Diego Armando Maradona, Venezuelan citizens offered their farewells to the Argentine football legend.
I feel surprised because Maradona was a real sportsman. Then you know, wow, the hand of God, they called him when he scored the goal there in the World Cup. He was a legend. He's gone now. The memories and the videos and the way he played will remain. His things. I was just looking at Facebook. I saw Facebook and suddenly I found out the news. It's a pretty sad story for football fans, mainly. It's really shocking.
And the mayor of the southern Italian city of Naples paid tribute to Diego Armando Maradona this Wednesday. Maradona won the hearts of Naples residents on leading the city's club to its only 2 league titles in 1987 and 1990, scoring a total of 115 goals.
It's really sad news in a very bad year. A few days ago, we saw him suffering the surgery, but no one could have imagined such a dramatic end at 60 years old. Maradona is Naples. The love of Naples and the Neapolitans for Diego is visceral. In 2017, by our will, he became an honorary citizen of Naples. But a formal recognition was not necessary to prove this unbreakable bond.
And Neapolitans gathered to pay tribute to football legend Diego Armando Maradona in front of the San Paolo Stadium. The mayor of Naples has proposed that the stadium be renamed in honor to the city's beloved Argentine footballer. Maradona was most loved at the club level for his spells with Boca Juniors in his homeland and Napoli in Italy, where he won the club's only 2 league titles, becoming a legend in the working-class city, where fans on Wednesday poured into the streets after hearing of his death. The president and owner of Napoli, Aurelio De Laurentiis, said it could be an idea to rename the stadium San Paolo Maradona and announced his intention to broadcast images of Diego's feast at the stadium on Thursday. Napoli will play a Europa League match on Thursday that will be preceded by a minute's silence in tribute to Maradona. And the Argentine staff at a restaurant in Barcelona expressed their grief following the loss of Diego Armando Maradona. The footballing legend is remembered in the Spanish city, having played for Barcelona from 1982 to 1984.
We are utterly sad with this piece of news. We all cried. Really, for us, Maradona is a symbol. He stands for many things about which we are happy. Maradona meant many things for us. The first World Cup, I saw him in the '86 and it was wonderful. They are all good memories. I remember my dad crying and it was for Maradona. I had never seen my dad crying and this first time was for Maradona. A great person is gone. I was lucky to have met him personally. An excellent player is gone, an excellent friend, and an excellent teammate according to all his teammates.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. This Tuesday saw another contingent of Cuban doctors arrive in Venezuela to join the team of professionals already working to control and prevent the spread of COVID-19. A total of 197 professionals from the latest group of doctors to arrive in Caracas to reinforce the efforts to contain the epidemic in the state of the country reporting the highest infection rates. The head of the Cuban medical mission in Venezuela, Reynold Garcia, pointed out that the brigade reinforces the over 1,300 Cuban health professionals currently working in the South American nation as part of the Cuba-Venezuela Cooperation Agreement. He explained that the doctors will carry out house-to-house visits to rule out COVID-19 cases, as well as supporting the training and the continuity of the work of the Inside the Neighborhood Health Mission. Chilean feminist movements were repressed by the police this Wednesday as they attempted to reach the presidential palace as part of mobilizations to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. To the cry of "The rapist is you," recalling the feminist performance piece protesting violence against women, which was the first performed in Chile in 2019 before being replicated across the globe, Chilean women mobilized in the streets of the capital, Santiago, to denounce patriarchal violence in the country. Protesters were met by police who prevented them from reaching the palace with water cannons. Demonstrators stressed that gender violence is on the rise after the limited support services for women were cut back in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has also seen victims of domestic violence trapped with their abuses. In this regard, women's organizations took the opportunity to discuss not only what to do to eliminate gender violence, but also their agenda for the next year. Activists and police clashed in Mexico City this Wednesday during a demonstration to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, as numerous women's rights protests took place across Latin America. Authorities and individuals erected protective barriers along the routes of the protests in Mexico, where feminist mobilizations have multiplied in the last year. The Mexican government has recognized that gender violence claims the lives of some 3,800 women each year and demanded a cultural change that will eliminate machismo and address patriarchy. According to the National Institute of Statistics, in the last decade, 6 out of every 10 women in Mexico have suffered some form of aggression, and an average of 32 girls between the ages of 10 and 14 become mothers every day as a result of sexual abuse, while 1 out of every 4 has suffered violence in the school environment. Mobilizations in Turkey to mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women this Wednesday saw at least 10 women arrested and many prevented from gathering. Women organized in several cities of the country where they denounced having been subject to police harassment. Feminist activists who mobilized in the city of Istanbul were prevented by security forces from reaching the emblematic Taksim Square. They stressed that the Council of Europe Convention of Preventing and Combating Violence Against Women and Domestic Violence, better known as the Istanbul Convention, was an agreement that could save lives and demanded justice from the local authorities for the more than 400 femicides reported in the country every year. The occasion also served to raise awareness of the increase in reports of domestic violence in the midst of the COVID-19 lockdown, with a call to end all gender violence.
During the quarantines, women were locked up at home with potential actual aggressors. There was no means available for them to go outside, to seek help from the state, or the help and support of another women. Many of us used to take care of household chores and continue our jobs at home as well. During this period, violence against women increased a lot. With the confinement at home, women were murdered by men who were closest to them. The state should have taken steps to prevent these crimes during the pandemic, but it did nothing.
U.S. President-elect Joe Biden said Tuesday in an interview with NBC that there has been immediate outreach from the national security officials of the Trump administration, and his team is working to arrange the classified briefings he's been afforded access to as president-elect, as well as a meeting with the White House Coronavirus Task Force in order to discuss its vaccine distribution plans.
This is not a third Obama term because we face a totally different world than we faced in the Obama-Biden administration. President Trump has changed the landscape. It's become America first, which meant America alone. That's why I found people who joined the administration in key points that represent the spectrum of the American people as well as the spectrum of the Democratic Party. In train now, we haven't gotten that briefing yet. I think we should be focusing on, obviously, the docs, the nurses, those people who are the first responders. I think we should also be focusing on being able to open schools as rapidly as we can. I think it can be done safely. So there's a lot to work out in the next 2 months as to exactly how it will be distributed. Now, maybe the hope is we can actually begin to distribute it. This administration can begin to distribute it before we are sworn in and take office.
And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Health ministers drawn from the sub-Saharan African region urged enhanced vigilance to curb transmission of COVID-19 that has been on the upsurge in the continent. The ministers said that robust surveillance combined with political goodwill, research and information sharing is key to minimize the impact of the virus on the continent's healthcare systems. African health ministers earlier this week participated in the 17th virtual session of the World Health Organization Regional Committee for Africa to take stock of progress achieved in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Sudan government transported Ethiopian refugees to a camp in Hamdayet on Wednesday, hours away of a surrender deadline for Tigray forces. Ethiopia's prime minister on Wednesday rejected growing international demands for dialogue and a halt to deadly fighting in the northern Tigray region as interference, saying his country will handle the conflict on its own. The fighting has already driven more than 40,000 people into Sudan and forced many others to flee within Tigray. Hundreds have reportedly been killed, though the true extent of death and displacement is not known. Meanwhile, in the South Africa city of Pretoria, Ethiopians from Tigray gathered to demand the immediate end of the ongoing conflict, pitting Ethiopia's federal forces against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, while Amnesty International urged Ethiopia against using artillery and aerial bombings in the Tigray city of Mekelle, appealing for both sides to consider the city's 500,000 inhabitants and the many more seeking refuge there from fighting elsewhere. And Cyclone Nivar has made landfall in the south of India, bringing heavy rainfall to several regions. According to the India Meteorological Department, the landfall process of Cyclone Nivar began late Wednesday night, and the weather system weakened into a severe cyclonic storm as it crossed the coast near Puducherry. Torrential rains, accompanied by gusty winds, have lashed several parts of the Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, where authorities had previously adopted a series of measures to handle the situation. A spokesperson for the National Crisis Management Committee reported that thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes. Indian authorities ordered the suspension of all activities except the emergency services in the south of the country as the cyclone approached. China and Japan have agreed to establish a fast-track lane for essential personnel exchanges by the end of November in order to further promote the resumption of cooperation between the two nations. The decision was made during Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi's official visit to Japan on Tuesday.
This is a positive step taken by the two countries to promote bilateral personnel exchange and support resumption of work and production in the context of the routinized epidemic prevention and control, as agreed by the two sides after the consultation. The fast track between China and Japan will be officially launched on November 30th.
Anti-police summoned 12 pro-democracy protest leaders to answer charges of royal defamation, the first use of the draconian law in almost 3 years, as Bangkok gears up for another major rally. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha last week gave the green light for authorities to present the charges, which bar any criticism of the royal family against demonstrators who could now face up to 15 years in prison. Thailand has been rocked by youth-led protests for months, demanding a new constitution, reform of the monarchy, and for the prime minister to resign. Tensions in the Thai capital are rising, and police deployed water cannons and tear gas at a rally outside parliament last week, injuring 55 people while 6 were shot in scuffles with royalists. Azerbaijan said Wednesday its forces had entered the second of 3 districts to be handed back by Armenia as part of a deal that ended weeks of fighting over the Nagorno-Karabakh region. Wedged between the disputed region and the territory of Armenia, Kalbajar was initially scheduled for handover on November 15, but the deadline was postponed by Azerbaijan for humanitarian reasons. Armenia agreed to hand over 3 districts around Karabakh, Agdam, Kalbajar, and Lachin, as part of the deal brokered by Russia that stopped an Azerbaijani offensive that had reclaimed large areas of territory lost to Armenian separatists in the 1990s war. Agdam was ceded on November 20, and Lachin is due to be handed over by December 1st. And the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev criticized Armenians on Wednesday for allegedly burning forests to create an environmental catastrophe in the Nagorno-Karabakh region.
Look at the ugly things they have been doing in recent days, burning forests to create an environmental catastrophe. These thieves cut down forests and take them to Armenia for sale. They burned down houses they did not build. They burned down schools and killed pets they can take with them. See who we were facing, what savages we were facing, and I will say this every time that our country is not only a victory of the Armenian state, we have also destroyed Armenian fascism.
And we have come to the end of this news brief, but we finish with football legend Diego Armando Maradona's top 5 goals according to FIFA. Remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website and social media pages. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.